Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
So this week we have on our first time, we have 3 guests at the same time.
Which is a little tricky to do, Kim. You're very good at doing this, but it is very difficult.
To edit, you mean?
Yeah, to edit and also to hear each other because everybody seems to be talking to each
Well,
other.
it's 2 sisters and a mother, the Bickleys, Charlotte, Sophie, and Kim. You guys probably know Charlotte and Sophie from Instagram. They're fashion bloggers, influencers, and they founded Yin to My Yang, that account. So as in any family, they talk very naturally together, and who can be more honest to each other than 2 sisters and a mom? They really are involved in their dating lives similarly to how we are in our family, I think.
And they have a good relationship, the 2 sisters and the mom.
Yes, and they're so different.
And I think the father's involved too in the
Yes.
conversation, and often they're very close. They're a very close-knit family and all into fashion and all into each other, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, if you follow either of the sisters, they post their parents all the time, and they're just so funny off the cuff.
Yeah, let's hear them because they are going to be fun, I think.
So guys, we are joined by Charlotte and Sophie Bickley. They created Yin to My Yang on Instagram. They are also sisters, of course, and we're joined by their mom, Kim. So we're very excited for this family affair. Thanks for being here.
We got 3 for the price of 1.
I know. It's really, really fun. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
we love anything family oriented. So it's really special to be also accompanied by you and your grandma. I think your whole podcast idea is so genius, to be honest, just so great.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. That's so sweet. So we have 2 Kims and 2 Syracuse grads. So hopefully it doesn't get too confusing in our convo here. But I do want to ask you too, you started Yin to My Yang. I want to hear that process of how it got started, and also your working with family. So I guess the best and worst parts about that as well.
So I'll start with how it got started. So I'm 2 years older than Charlotte, and sometimes people think I'm younger, which I think is so funny, but because I don't see that. But anyway, so I was working in PR and fashion, and it was kind of like the beginning of influencing and bloggers. And and doing my position in PR, I would kind of track what they were wearing and see if they were wearing the brands and stuff like that. And that's when I first got introduced to the whole idea of what it was. And so we kind of, long story short, from there, we just started it for fun because we always loved fashion, and people always complimented our natural style.
and our dad, it has worked in fashion his whole career. So
we were kind of introduced to it, I guess you could say, from that too. And so we were like, let's do something with this, or try, because we also wanted to do something together. And so we launched it officially. We did Instagram, and then we also had a website where now we still have the website, but we don't really use it. So that was in 2016.
Oh, a long time.
Yeah, 6 years. And we were kind of just seeing, it was very much a learning process, and we just kind of saw what was going to happen, and we got really lucky. I think people liked the whole niche we had with 2 sisters that don't really look alike and have very different styles in a lot of ways. And also seeing the family dynamic, because our mom and our dad, people are so interested in them over us, I swear. Maybe you guys see the same thing, but people, I think, just like to see that whole thing. So I think that's why we saw success when it is such a time where it's so hard to be successful in social media because it's so saturated. Long story short. Yeah.
Kim, what was your reaction when they started this? Was this something you expected after they both graduated colleges to go into this type of field?
So they both had jobs first. Sophie was working for an executive search firm. Charlotte was working at Bergdorf Goodman as a buyer. So they both had their jobs first, and they really had been speaking about this for quite a while. And so obviously, as their mom, I was excited. I really knew nothing about the space at that time, and wasn't sure what that would entail, but I fully supported it. And I, of course, you asked about the relationships and, working with family. I was a little nervous and tentative about that aspect of it, but I figured I'd be along the way, which I have been, and I'd be there.
Mom, I think you came up with the name.
No,
I think I came up with the name, and we
don't remember who came up with the name or when.
Yeah, we sort of searched around the fact that they really are so different. I thought it would be just a really fun experience for them. It's like as if it was a startup. So that's how I approached it.
Yeah. Kim, what do you think the biggest difference between your daughters is?
Oh
Oh
my God.
yeah, I love that.
There's so many. Oh my gosh.
So they have a lot of differences, and they, of course, to me, have a lot of similarities as well. But I would say their biggest difference is Charlotte probably looks sort of more forward, and Sophie lives sort of more in the moment.
I would have said I'm super sensitive and Charlotte's super
Oh,
Not-
that's good too. Yeah, that's
that
good
one's
too.
the most obvious one in our work. Like
Yeah.
I cry all the time over things that
True.
Charlotte say that are not like worthy.
And I don't want to say I'm not sensitive. I assume I kind of like have realized this in the last like couple of months. I assume people think the way I think.
That sounds similar kind of to our dynamic. I feel that I'm very
Very
sensitive,
sensitive.
and she's very straightforward.
Yeah.
So-
Wait, Gail, I knew we were soul sisters.
But the age is different.
We'll get into it, I'm sure. But Sophie's now dating a guy who like literally is so straightforward and like doesn't beat around the bush at all.
Yeah.
So I actually appreciate that about him because I feel Sophie's other boyfriends have been like scared of me, and Ethan will like roast me, and it's really funny. Like he'll do it in a funny way, but we have a family group chat, and he'll be like, he'll just like say, he'll be like, Charlotte, like what? And like, I think it's like a great quality. So it's interesting that you're now dating someone who's like that.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in this relationship, if I may ask?
So I've been in the relationship since July of 20, like COVID that
Oh,
summer. July
Okay, so a
2020.
while.
Yeah, but we've been friends for like 7 years now.
Very nice.
I met him through actually an ex-boyfriend of mine. But
I have to say one thing about Sophie though, because Gail, I listened to a few things about you, and I know you have your like pearls of wisdom when it comes to advice re boys, but Sophie is the type of girl who does not abide to any dating rules. And I'm actually more like insecure when it comes to like boys. Like I like to be courted. I like the boy to text me, and like I'm less of a risk taker. I've gotten like with age, like I just sort of am like a boy's either gonna like me or they don't. But Sophie's never been the type to do that, and it always works out for her. And Ethan,
no, it does not always work out.
like, she is like a monogamous dater, and like Ethan was very much, you were like laid it out for him, and it
Yeah, he was very much someone that
What-
like, I don't know, we were friends before, so I'm very comfortable around him. And I basically was like, do you want to be in a relationship or not? Like, I'm tired of boys who are like, and like, we were there for him as a friend regardless. So it was kind of just like, let's be friends, or let's like do this and not have it be like weird in between.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that, and I, of course, always have given advice to the girls over the years, but don't worry, because when you're ready, it'll come to you, or you'll find it, or whatever. I obviously have zero worry about these two in terms of finding their man, their perfect match. And I think with Sophie, she was ready.
Yeah, but like for a while I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna find anyone.
Of course, both of
and
you.
then I
I mean,
took,
and it's a normal thing to feel, but
yeah.
it just with I'm older and wiser with that stuff.
Right.
You do want to tell your old self not to stress about it that much, but it's hard in the moment to not do it.
What does your boyfriend feel? Sophie's, what does he feel about your career? I mean, with the clothes, does he like this? Is
That's a
he
good
into
question.
this?
Literally, he could, since we were friends before, if I had told you that he would have wanted to date me, I would have said that the whole job and everything was too much for him, but it doesn't bother him really at all. Like he makes fun of things. He's like the biggest Instagram troll I've ever, he is on Instagram all day. And I'm like, you like talk about how you never use it. You're on it more than I am, like, which is fine. It's just funny. And so, yeah, he actually surprisingly like is fine with it. He tries to be he is a fashionista in himself as well.
But I think
So that makes it better. That makes it easier.
Yeah. For both Sophie and I, like this is one thing that we have, our types are very different, but for one thing that's similar with both of us, I think because Sophie and I both are active on Instagram, and I like to consider our Instagram, like, it's a persona ultimately. Like Sophie and I, like behind like Instagram, like there's different things, but I'm so attracted, and I feel you're the same because Ethan's sort of like this, to a guy who like doesn't care about Instagram at all.
Yeah.
I think it's a major red. I've dated a guy that like was into my Instagram and like wanted me to like post him and whatnot. And like, that ultimately is a massive red flag to me. I think a guy that like literally could care less about Instagram, has like 2 posts, like whatever, is more someone I gravitate towards, which is interesting, but I think it's like the opposite.
Maybe it's like clashing people both wanting to be,
right. Okay, wait, 2 follow-up questions. One, what number of followers does a guy have to have for it to be non-cringy? Like if he has 3,000.
Under a thousand, like
Wait, really?
Over 1,000, I feel.
My boyfriend has less than my dog, but he has like 300.
Yeah.
This is so specific to a small audience out there. That's really millennial audience. This, it's very difficult to translate what you girls are saying to somebody who's over 50.
No, 100%. It's hard to even explain what we do to sometimes.
Well, that's what I'd like to get to also, because we have an audience. Kim and I have developed an audience that we have an awful lot of people over 50 listening. Right. And it's fun to hear you guys speak about
So this. I think I understand your hesitancy because you might not understand what we're saying, but I also think it's important that you do understand, because when you or your friends are listening to their grandkids, they want to be like, oh, I understand they're saying like their amount of followers. If it's more than 5,000, that's a little strange. You don't have 5,000 personal friends.
I don't even have 2 friends after this. We've criticized everybody in the world on this podcast. So,
oh my goodness. I love it.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I think I just want to make it so that the girls understand we have an audience that sort of goes from, let's say, your mom's, your age to your mom's to your grandparents' age. So it becomes interesting to see how they would react to somebody, kids who are constantly on this and what they would say.
Understand the language. I get what you're saying.
Right.
Like an overview of what we do is originally kind of just talk about fashion on a website blog and connect different links to buy the clothes. And then that turned more into Instagram when blogging on or influencing on Instagram became bigger of a thing. And so we partner with brands, post their stuff for posts, do kind of a bunch of different media related type things, podcasts, whatnot, events. So overview, that's what, like when you say our career and our boyfriends being able to handle it, that's kind of what it is. Kind of a pretty public thing. Yeah.
And Sophie and I also just something that's more mainstream and understandable. We write for this magazine, The Daily Front Row, which we serve as editors at large for them. So that's also a really fun
fashion magazine.
But just like an influencer's, I feel like a modern day, like
I always say it's like a modern day advertisement for a lot of brands in the sense that people buy the clothes off of people's posts and backs, or I guess you can say from a photo that is taken in like with an iPhone within seconds or minutes, instead of these huge campaigns. And I mean, we see a lot of brands doing influencer or TikToker campaigns now. So I think that's one of the big things it does. And it just is like someone you can relate to that is inspiring you or influencing you quite literally to want to wear that brand or figure out what your style is. And that's what I would say.
We were shopping the other day and we were like, how do we find out what's trendy? And you were like, do people still look in a Vogue spread? I'm like, no, I just look at my Yang.
I think it's even evolved since the girls have started, in the sense that for even people who are older, if you don't have a phone or you're not using a phone or on Instagram, then you won't get it at all. But if you've been using your phone and are on Instagram, even if you're older and maybe don't use it as much as a younger person would, you will start to get what's going on here and understand what an influencer actually is doing, because you see it, on the Instagram. I'm thinking of my mother, for example, their grandmother who, she loves it to keep in touch with everyone. And on top of it, she'll say things that, and this and that happened because she's seeing the trends because of Instagram. Right. So I think if you're not a user, you're out of, you don't get this at all. But if you're a user, I think you get it.
And I think most people today do some form of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Bumpa, we call our grandma Bumpa. Mom, she literally DMs me all the time and is like, I love that DVF blouse. Like
I did a poll being like, would you watch me on TikTok? And she said no.
Yeah, she's very sassy with her answers. And I think she's sincere about her answers. So if she says no, she means it. She isn't just clicking.
It was like her and one other person. I was like, Bumpa.
But, I think she not only does she love it to keep in touch with you guys and see your every move, but on top of it, it is like looking through an old Vogue magazine. You just flip through stuff and see what's going on.
So Charlotte and Sophie, what is your biggest style difference? I want to know. And then also your types in men, you said is very different. So how is that?
Want me to do style? You can.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, correct me if I'm wrong, the easiest way to put it and the way we have put it is I'm more like spontaneous and she's more like, she like knows the trends really well. I think, would you say that's true? Like,
yeah.
And like maybe like a little bit more feminine and like I'm a little bit more tomboyish maybe. But like I'll like just put an outfit together and if I'm like into it and it might not be on trend, and then I'll catch up with the trends eventually from her and whatever, like we're just saying. But I think that's like the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Like she's always had a really good eye for like the what's in, what's hot and whatnot. Not that
is there anything hot now besides sweatpants? I mean, I'm not even sure.
And
after
I live in
COVID.
sweatpants. I live.
Well, we all did. I mean, we've taken 18 months of living in sweatpants. I don't even know how we convert to any kind of normal fashion anymore.
I agree with you, Gail. I don't know how you do either. It's really hard for me.
We actually had a listener write in that they wanted to ask you guys if skinny jeans are still in.
Okay, you can answer, but I think we're both gonna have the same answer on this one. Actually, okay. I love like a baggier mom jean. I like a high-waisted jean. Skinny jeans are cute, but I just, for some reason, I'm like obsessed with like the like jeans that like flare a little now at the ends and have a slit. Like it just looks good on my petite frame, but.
So I'm quite a bit taller. So I do like skinny jeans, high-waisted. I do not ever wear anything that's not high-waisted. Sometimes I wonder if that's going to stay in forever because it was not in style for a while.
It wasn't.
Yeah, but
especially with Y2K fashion coming back in a lower waist kind of jean.
Now, I'm not the fashionista of the family because I've completely given up that role to the girl, but too exhausting to do them and me. But I used to love skinny jeans, but now I don't as much. And I agree with Charlotte. I like something with a little bit of a flare.
It's comfortable too.
Yeah, I don't think
I agree. Yeah,
I think skinny jeans are always going to be worn, and long term they will too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
but I also think they're a little sexier.
So when I go out at night, I wear my skinny jeans usually.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I think I have style. So it's interesting though. That's like literally, no, I think I have style that, sorry, I was going to say, I think I have style that like sometimes a boy might not understand.
Oh, like man
repeller vibes. And it's so funny because my friend, one of my best friends, Sammy, she like loves skinny jeans. She loves everything like very feminine and like posh. And like I like Hailey Bieber vibes. And like, I can understand why she always looks so cute and amazing, but like sometimes her style's like a little like baggy, grungy, and you know, whatever.
I like that.
Yeah,
too,
I like it. I love it.
I think that's in right now.
Yeah, it is.
COVID also made it more acceptably in. I feel like 90s fashion is really in right now. Like the little
which is like, God help us.
I love 90s. Yeah. It's so cute.
Well, the thing with the mini purses though, you can't fit your phone in it.
No, I know. I love the mini purses because I'm like small. I have
one that like fits just my phone and my wallet and stuff, but I'm like really into this, but it's just everywhere. And like the patterns are very like hippie, like vibes like that.
So moving on to your type in men.
Okay. Me and Sophie, thank God, have literally never overlapped. We do not have the same type at all. The closest we came was 2 summers ago during COVID. We dated best friends.
Yeah, but they're not. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the closest. No, they don't look alike, and they're not like. But the closest we've ever come.
Right.
And they were,
don't say anything.
No.
They're like 100%.
No, kidding. Okay, whatever. But Sophie, I think her type has always been like a really like, I like to call it, well, it's kind of evolved because Ethan has like a lot of style, but you used to like a guy that like wore khakis,
polos, like such bad style.
Yeah, like just like, and she would try to like change.
You like that?
I like that too.
Yeah. I think it's more of an old fashioned style.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I went and like it's kind of preppy.
No, it's very Ralph Lauren. It's very
exactly. So I had a boyfriend who would wear like khakis, like legit like a dad outfit, New Balances, and like a tucked in like something.
Horrible.
And my boyfriend now is still like on that side. Like he's from Maine. He really likes LL Bean and things like that.
I like that too.
Edgier stuff too.
No, he has great style, Ethan.
He wears like pretty tight pants, which like looks good. Yeah. And I wouldn't think that before. But and then I'm like really big is like funny. I'm sure that's the same for you. But I was trying to think earlier about a common denominator between all because my type's kind of not that set in stone. And they have to be funny.
Our boys have to be funny like that. I think you wouldn't be able to like hang with our family if you didn't have a sense of humor. Yeah. And Sophie and I both are very family oriented. I think having like family values is so important. And it's something that I actually weirdly, every boy I've like gone out with has had like a good relationship with their family. I actually like someone who's not really in the scene, family oriented.
You are in the scene though.
And I like to go out and be social, but I'm like someone who like would ideally, like if I had a boyfriend, I'd love to like be in on a Saturday night, go to dinner with him, go on like a double date. And it's just so funny. Like my ex, I was dating an older guy like 3 years ago, and he wore skinny jeans, and Sophie would always be like,
"No, his legs were so tiny.
His legs were like skinnier than Sophie's." Not kidding.
No, it wasn't the skinny jeans that I was alarmed once when he was wearing the shortest like
the swim trunks.
Villa Queen.
Oh yeah.
And so I walked out and I was like, oh my God, who's like I thought it was like Charlotte's legs. They was like, they look so good.
Well, I hope he's not listening.
No, he won't.
He also won't care.
Yeah, he won't care. We're very amicable. I'm amicable with all my exes. But yeah, I think that's probably, I think you just have to have a good vibe. And like, I've gone out with like a lot of people, and I think ultimately like a genuine, unique connection is something that's like really hard to find. And like when you do, you like, the people that are special for you.
Mm-hmm. Kim, has either of your daughters ever brought someone home to you that you were just like, what the F are you thinking?
And did you say it, Kim? Did you tell them?
I did. I'm a believer of letting them find their own way a little bit, but we're together every minute. We speak every day, every minute.
How often do the girls bring someone home to you?
I think Sophie's easier to bring someone home to our parents.
Yeah, but I'm like cringing thinking about some of the
they brought quite a few home to me
every few years for me. Every few years,
we even joke that maybe if it's someone serious, you better not bring them home to me. Maybe I'm bad luck.
I can like not consider myself a serial dater, but like I guess I'm a monogamous serial dater. But
I don't think either of you guys brought like just any Joe Schmo home. To me. It was when they brought him home to me, it was someone that they thought was special, and I would almost always, with the exception of maybe one or two times, really, really, really see the best in that person.
Who's more critical, you or your husband, about Sophie and Charlotte's dating life?
I mean, we're both pretty. I mean, honestly, I think this is why so many people love us. Like, all the young kids really love to come around us and talk with us and stuff. We're both pretty lenient, and again, don't judge, but maybe Ian.
Yeah,
he's so DL, like won't tell us, but is DL. Judging. Like when we break up with them, he just is coming at us with all these things.
No, right. We didn't start with this, but Kim, how did you meet their dad?
Oh yes.
I met Ian in Bermuda. So I went to Skidmore College, also upstate. And at the end of my freshman year, I went to Bermuda at the beginning of the summer. And Ian is from Bermuda. And I had been there for a really long break for almost 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, I was at sort of a nightclub type thing, but back then we called it a disco. And he asked me to dance.
Oh, that's it.
And then from that point on, it's almost even hard for me to remember and imagine.
You have to tell the funny part about it. I'm gonna just tell them. Okay, so her roommate from college lived in Bermuda, and my dad approached her and was like, "Do you want to dance with me?" My mom at first said no, and then Elise was like, "Kim, he went to Harvard. He's such a great guy. You need to say yes."
No, but we had a really nice connection right away. But I tell you honestly, you can't even compare it with today's dating because it's so different.
Mom would have been psycho.
How do we communicate? I don't know. He called me once or twice on the hard line. He wrote a letter or two. Then we had decided to meet at the end of that summer. My family would go to Nantucket for August, and so he was going to come visit me in Nantucket. And I mean, I joke with the girls; they know. I said, "It's to this day, I don't know how we figured out how to do that because I'm even so used to using the phone and the this and the that, for instant everything." So anyway, it's an old-fashioned love story for sure. And
Wait, but you have to tell them, did you tell them you broke up for 2 years?
Yeah.
So we did break up we did break up for a little while because Ian was graduating and I think he was anxious about all that. And I was still a senior at school. And then again, I don't know how this happened, but we somehow reconnected. I mean, he was in New York and I was in New York, but we reconnected, and the rest is history.
It's so interesting because we did an episode before on taking a break and if that's a legit thing or if it's just a softer way to say, I want to break up without, really as heavy as a blow. I guess within that situation, you didn't go into it as let's take a break and reconvene. It was more like hard stop and you happened to come back together. But what are your thoughts on breaks? Like, are those
first of all, I think Kimmy, in Kim's case, it's also age. When you're in college, it's not necessarily a complete breakup because it's timing. And as if you're going on to start your workplace and she's still in school. So I think that's different than today. If you're talking about 28 and 29-year-olds going on a break, that's usually a break. It's not really the same.
I agree with you. I think that was how that went down. Today, from what I've learned from the guys that I've seen with Sophie and Charlotte and just around and whatever, I think a break is a soft way of breaking up.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right. Unless there's actual, things that you're working on, I think it's just it just seems like the millennials and the Gen Zs, they just aren't, that's not what they do.
Right. And I also don't think there's something that you need to work on. If you need to work on something when you're dating, move on to the next person.
I don't agree with that.
I know you don't, but I think you're so wrong.
I so agree with you. I mean, Charlotte tells me things where they're working on that and they've been dating for what, 5 months? I'm like, no.
That doesn't mean
things aren't perfect though. You have to not everyone communicates in the same way and not everyone is used to the same thing. So I think you have to have those conversations with your partner before just saying, oh, it's not working, goodbye. I think you have to at least make an effort.
I think it depends on how long you've been dating. Yeah. I think 2 years into it, yes. But if you're in the first year and you're having to work on things, there's little things that if you're going to change little things about you that they just naturally do because they see that you like it that way. But if you have to talk about it and actually come together, I think it is a little bit of a red flag. Maybe there's exceptions for sure.
I think timing though is everything. I really do. And I think that sometimes there's circumstances that play into things like that. You've heard stories of girls. It just all depends on whatever. Sometimes you meet a guy and you're you had to kind of get yourself into him. It wasn't a click at first. It was and instantaneous. And then sometimes there's circumstances where people have job conflicts and things like that. I've really heard a lot of different things. And I think at 20, I do agree with you though, Gail, at 29 and 28, that's more me and this guy, we were dating and he was 33 or 34 and I was 24 and we dated for a year and then didn't see it moving that direction. So I think that's clear that that's never happening. But other things, I've been in situations where other things, I think there's still
definitely young boys starting their careers. A lot might say they want to go on a break and it does not mean a hard no. Cause I had experienced that actually.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Someone who we ended up reconnecting and dated for about
Ethan.
A year. Well, Ethan, we weren't romantic before. We were friends,
but I think you always liked him.
No, I did.
Yeah.
Kim, what do you think of Ethan?
Oh, I love Ethan.
Good.
See, that's good. That's a good thing.
Someone.
Right.
And I love that he loves Sophie for all her everything. So I think that's to me.
Because I'm a lot. So I'm a lot for sure with something that
so I'm I tread very carefully with Ethan. Ethan's on I love Ethan.
Ethan's literally king of the family. We're all Ethan.
Yeah.
We love to ask all of our guests if your grandma ever gave you any advice when it comes to dating or relationships.
Yeah, Bumpa. So my mom's mom, who's actually also named Sophie, has given me a lot of advice because I call her a lot of times just to cry and like be super dramatic and whatever. And she's given me a lot of advice.
Yeah. Well, grandmas love that. So that's
she loves it. And so she'll give me advice. And then also she's good after the fact to point out things that she didn't like about them too.
Right.
I want to ask a question. Have either one of you girls, because it's so topical now, been bullied on your Instagram at all?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, this I think is something that you could talk to the audience, because how do you deal with that?
So like there was a period where it just got bad for a second there. It was honestly during COVID. I think people had too much time on their hands, because this is like these like fake accounts that just say like mean things, but I dealt with it. At first I would let it bother me so much, even though I didn't want to. And I would like respond, and like not in a mean way though. I always like to kill people with kindness. So, and that actually makes them more mad, I learned. So like, yeah. But I learned that like, it's literally like, if you think about it, it's like someone behind an account, or maybe it is the real person, but they're just like going after you for really like, they don't know you, first of all. So if it's something about your personality, you can just be like, they literally don't know me. And if it's something else about your style or your looks, it's just like, you have to just remember like what, like so many other people are, you're loved by so many other people. But it is really irritating. It's hard.
The only thing I will say is that like Sophie and I and like our family, we're all very positive people, and anyone who feels the need to speak negatively about someone ultimately is not happy with themselves. And you just have to remember that. Like at the end of the day, like I'm so happy for everyone around me. I'm happy for my sister. Like I don't have a boyfriend right now. Sophie's like soon to be married, maybe. Like I'm so happy for her. You have to be happy for everyone around you, and good things will happen. It's karma. It's
big believer in karma.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that. So, but it is hard to deal with. And I agree, like growing up in that environment, because people can just hide.
It's tough for these kids today.
It's so tough for these kids today. I feel really awful.
So I want to end the episode with a game. Kind of like a little most likely with the Bickleys situation. I'll say a scenario and you guys can say in the family who's the most likely to do it. So the first one is most likely to be active on dating apps.
Me.
Sophie.
Sorry, I won't say
it. No, Sophie, Joey. She is.
Definitely. Before
I like a setup.
I thought I was very much about like, if you are wanting to date, you should, because I'm the person, the boy who came back I met him on Hinge, and then he wanted to focus on his career, and then we dated. So I think there can be success in those.
I've had full successes. I've dating apps. I've had successes. I reconnected with someone on a dating app. Like it's great.
Yeah. I'm a big fan as well. Yeah. Okay. Most likely to break up with a guy.
Sophie.
Yeah. Everybody's in agreement.
It is so hard to break up with someone.
No, but you are.
I'm ashamed to say
you've done it, but you have actually done it. Charlotte hasn't done it.
Yeah. No, I know. So
Mom, that's not true. I did.
So I've had to do it. I've had to do it twice in a big way, and then 3 times with the same person who I like truly did love, but like I was just in such a crazy headspace. And I'm very bad about it. Like I could see myself using the take a break as a way to, which is not good, but like, I hate hurting people's feelings, but it's
almost harder than getting broken up with sometimes.
Wait, by the way, I did break up with one person, my high school boyfriend, but
well, we're not going back to high school.
I actually think being broken up with is better. Usually I think both of my breakups were mutual due to self-sabotage at the end there, but I think that being broken up with is better, because then you can like do things free will. Whereas if you're to hook up with someone or like have a fling with someone right after, it's like you have guilt, you feel bad, like you can just live your life.
Tell that to someone when someone breaks up with
them. Yeah, I know you don't want to hear it. Yeah.
No.
Okay, parent who is most likely to party with your boyfriends.
Dad. Or mom.
Used to be mom.
Yeah,
used to be me. I don't drink anymore, not because of any problems. I just decided to stop drinking. But I totally used to. They both went to boarding school for a minute, and they used to bring everyone back here.
Parent pushing for an engagement.
Neither. But I guess, oh my God, that's hard. Dad, maybe. Dad's like, get them out of my hair.
It's time to move on, girls.
Well, I am obsessed with both of you. Thank you all for coming on.
Guys,
terrific.
Please tell our listeners how they can follow you.
Okay, so you can follow us on Instagram at Yin, which is YIN, and then the number 2, my Yang, Y-A-N-G.
Then we have at CH Bickley, at Soph Bix, and then honestly
at Kim Bickley.
Okay.
1.
And then at I
Don't make it confusing, girls. We're dealing with a group that can get very confused.
Go to our Instagram, and then through that you can find the tagged Instagrams of our parents and our dogs and all
the whole family.
You're terrific.
Love
and
it.
Kim, I give you a lot of kudos. Very
Thank you
nice.
so much.
Wonderful.
Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the episode with the Bickleys.
Well, I enjoyed it. The mother is a super cool mom. She really has a good handle on the two girls, because you can see that they are different, but love each other and respect each other's differences, which is nice to see in a family. And the mom is a really steady anchor and is very supportive of both of their different ways of thinking and dressing and social life. So it's really very, it made me feel good about families are still alive and well.
Okay, so for our 1950s movie of the week, we're doing the 60s. Still
We're
counts,
pushing,
you guys.
Yeah, we're pushing it up a little to the early 60s. That's all right, Kim.
The Parent Trap. You guys probably know the one with Lindsay Lohan from the 2000s, but there was an original Parent Trap. And obviously, got to do Two Sisters, since we had Two Sisters on this week. Best movie, by the way. Have you seen both versions of it?
I don't remember. They all seem to be alike, but I can't believe how many years ago it is with Lindsay Lohan. I mean, it really makes me feel very old, because isn't she? She's probably got married.
No,
she's
oh
not.
my gosh, Lindsay Lohan. Do you know anything about her?
What is she doing now?
She's so funny. So she opened a bunch of nightclubs.
Oh.
Another great episode of Excuse My Grandma. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Excuse My Grandma, and write in any questions you have, and have a great week.